We have finally reached the most critical step in the entire funnel. Unforgettable phone calls. This is going to be a dual lesson in how to get dates with model quality women leveraging phone calls, but also a lot of marketing psychology. Because what you're going to learn is a skill that is going to serve you for the rest of your life. If you can have an unforgettable phone call with someone that makes them think that you are a high value person, that makes them excited to want to go on a date with you, you can pretty much hack reality. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what I mean when I say hack reality. You're going to have a complete system in place where you can pick up the phone, call someone, know exactly what to say, and get them excited. Now, here's a graph that would normally be used for businesses and for marketers. This is a visual representation of a funnel. Now, let's relate this to everything we've learned during this entire course. The top of the funnel is where you're getting your leads. Places like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Instagram. This is where you're going to be interacting with the most amount of people because you're going to be messaging a lot of women. And out of all the women that you message, a chunk of them will move down to the middle of the funnel. This is where you'll be sending things like voice notes and chatting and getting comfort established. And after that, another chunk will move down to the bottom of the funnel. These are the people that have been filtered to most likely get along with you. They laughed at your jokes, they click with you, you've established yourself as a high value man and they're attracted. And this is called the decision stage. And this is the most critical stage. You could do everything correct at the top of the funnel and the middle of the funnel, but if you mess up the bottom, all this work is useless. And a secret to succeeding at the bottom of the funnel where they're actually going to make the decision is by having an unforgettable phone call. Once I perfected phone calls, I never got flaked on. And I don't mean this as an exaggeration or hyperbole. This is 100% true. Every woman that I've talked to on the phone has met me for a date because I have a structure in place that creates such an emotional high on the phone call that you can't help but meet me for a date. The signal to noise ratio is extremely high if you call a woman on the phone before you meet up with her. And there's so much psychology into why this is critical to do. And I'm going to dive into all of it. I'm going to give you actual examples of recorded phone calls that I have. I'm going to break them down. You're going to have a comprehensive understanding of how to do your own unforgettable phone call so that women are dying to meet you. Now, the biggest purpose of the phone call is to pre-filter for chemistry. Have you ever been on a date where you're sitting there and within a couple of minutes you both realize, oh shit, we don't really click? I've been there many times. And once you have this realization, it's almost too late. You're already sitting there. You're already committed to hanging out. You have to be a polite person. You can't just get up and leave. And if you're busy and you have shit going on in your life, your time is precious. You don't want to be wasting your time with someone that you wouldn't get along with in the first place. And I don't just mean this for you. This is also doing her a favor. She gets to know if there's chemistry before she has to decide if she wants to meet up with you. The number one reason that every girl I've dated ultimately decided to meet up with me is because of our phone call. If you have an incredible phone call with a girl, you're basically showing her that the date is going to be awesome. What's a common reason that people hesitate going on dates? They think it's going to suck. They think that the person that they meet up with might be boring as hell. But if you have a well-structured phone call, you are basically taking that objection, taking that skepticism, and tossing it aside. And instead, you're giving her an emotional high on the phone call. A high that's so intense that she's going to be thinking, if he's this good just on a phone call, how amazing is our date going to be? Now, here's a text conversation that I had with a Dutch model. This girl has been featured in Vogue magazine, American Apparel, and a bunch of other really big brands. Needless to say, she's incredibly attractive. She's also someone that I'm currently casually dating. And these texts that you see on the screen are right before and right after I had my phone call with her. So why is there a gap between these two messages? Well, that was the phone call. And after the phone call, a few minutes later, she texted me, "I'm still smiling, you're funny." And I say, "I'm glad you were cool too, and not an old Russian dude," referencing my voice note that I sent earlier. "I think we'd get along." And then she says, "In my previous dates, I wouldn't meet with someone in the first place if it didn't feel good. I thankfully can feel the difference between nerves and when someone feels off. I don't know why, but I was so nervous to call with you." And I said, "You hid your nervousness really well. You actually seemed really calm and confident." And the reason I'm sharing this is because this is also a common reaction that I get. This idea of someone saying they're nervous to be around me. Now, I'm just a normal dude. There's nothing to be nervous about when it comes to hanging out with me. In fact, this girl is 5'11". I am 5'7". Why is a nearly 6-foot model nervous talking to me? It's because the phone call, honestly, blew her mind. If you have a great phone call with a girl, she's going to walk away from it on cloud 9. She's going to feel amazing. And that's what happened here. And like I said, this specific girl and I are dating. We actually just got back from a trip to Mexico. And this girl is in such high demand, getting asked out all the time by guys.
Every time you get on a phone call with a woman, you are going to embody the playfully skeptical frame. And here's what I mean. The vibe of the call is, I'm not too sure about you, but let's have a fun chat. Instead of her being the one that's skeptical of you, you're going to flip the script and you're going to be skeptical of her. This dynamic is so fun for women because it just doesn't normally happen. And so when she experiences it, it's going to be refreshing for her. Finally, a guy that knows how to challenge me. That's what she's going to be thinking. You're going to ask her tough questions, but in a playful way. You need to have this attitude of you're the prize so that when you actually do agree to go on a date with her, she feels like she's won. She should feel relieved that she passed all of your quote-unquote tests. So as we go through this entire lesson, I want you to keep the playfully skeptical frame in your mind. Constantly remind yourself that this is the vibe that I need to portray on the phone call. I'm playfully skeptical. So what makes up an amazing call? A call that gets her excited to meet up with you. A call that makes her view you like a celebrity. Well, there's 4 parts. The first is setting the context. She needs to understand what the point is of you calling her. And the context is so important because this is how you're going to flip the script. I'll explain what it is in a minute. Next, you're going to ask her hard-hitting questions, but you're not going to do it in a way that makes her uncomfortable. You're going to ask her challenging, tough questions about her life, and you're going to do it in a way that's playfully skeptical. And asking good questions is such an important skill. There's this weird advice in the men's dating community that says you should not ask a girl any questions. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You want to be asking questions. The thing is, you just want to make sure the questions are not generic. And I'll tell you how to do that. Next, you're going to tell your best stories. And these stories are going to be refined over time. At first, they might not land perfectly, but after you've told them a few times and you've tweaked them, they're going to elicit an emotional high, and I'll show you how to do that. And then at the very end, you have your call to action. You're going to ask her out, but you're going to do it in a way that she probably hasn't gotten before. You're going to ask her out kind of skeptically. And this maintains that whole frame of the playfully skeptical man. Because when you act playfully skeptical, it adds a bit of mystery to your entire persona. And this playfully skeptical vibe is going to be woven throughout your entire interaction. You don't ever really want her to feel that you're 100% down to do anything. She has to earn your time and earn your attention. And the key here is to make it playful. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with recorded calls that I have. It's very easy to misinterpret the playfully skeptical frame and come across like a douchebag that takes himself way too seriously. That's why I'm going to show you examples of me doing the playfully skeptical frame so you can emulate it. Now I'm going to go over one of my calls and I'm going to break it down and give you examples of how I'm utilizing the things that I've been teaching you. First off, let me give you a quick reminder of how to get on a phone call with her in the first place. We talked about this in the previous video, but I want to go over it again very quickly. So after you get her contact information, whether it's from Instagram or Tinder or Bumble, anywhere, what you want to do is say this. It's super straightforward. I send her a text that says something like, we should hop on a quick call. And usually there's not much resistance from that. It's super casual, not a big deal. Let's hop on a quick call. And sometimes I'll throw in things like, let's hop on a quick call to make sure we don't hate each other. So I'm already setting the context even in the text right before the call. And you want to do this quickly. Ideally the same day that you get her contact information. We've been talking about this idea of recency bias, which essentially means that the longer you wait, the less your chances are that she will remember you. But if you keep top of mind by getting on a phone call with her that same day or the next day that you get her contact information, your chances of getting a date are significantly higher.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Doing anything?
Where are you? Are you outside?
Yeah.
So this is something I do in calls a lot. I will immediately just ask a question like, where are you? Or what are you doing? Most guys will say something like, hey, how are you? How are you is one of those answers that people just almost automatically respond to. They're like, I'm good. How about you? You don't want to put her into a pattern. So when I say, where are you, or what are you doing, she actually has to think about it. She'll look around, look at her surroundings, and then think. And this is one of the themes to everything that I do, is I want to get people to think. I want them to feel challenged to a degree. I don't want them to fall into the patterns that everyone else puts them into.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I sound...
On the balcony.
Okay. Whereabouts in London do you live?
So right here, I'm asking her, whereabouts in London do you live? And it's not a great question. And this is okay. The beginning of a phone call might not be super smooth. You're still trying to find your footing. You're basically two strangers that have never spoken before. And it's okay to be a little bit awkward in the beginning. And this call overall is amazing, but the beginning, it's a little awkward, and that's completely normal. Embrace the awkwardness. Don't feel weird about it. Let's go back to the first part of what makes an amazing phone call. Setting the right context. The theme of this entire funnel that we're creating here is that of a high-value man. And a high-value man naturally has options of women in his life. He's not super desperate. He's not very thirsty. And so as a high-value man, you are going to be the one that is quote-unquote skeptical, but you're going to do it playfully. So I'll say, hey, I just wanted to hop on a call with you to make sure you're not a psycho. Now, this is supposed to be said playfully, not super angry and serious. It's like, hey, I wanted to make sure you're not a psycho. What's up?
Well, that's cool. I'll stop asking you questions about geography, but
Thank you.
I just wanted to hop on a call with you, make sure you're not, a psychopath.
Yeah. But you never know, with people, like psychopaths, they adapt. Like
That's a
from
very,
birth,
very good point. Because usually psychopaths are like the most socially intelligent, right? Like they can fake it.
They have everything. Yeah, they can fake it because they've been learning for many years.
So as you can see there, I set the context in a playful way. I'm laughing as I say it. She's laughing. She starts to improv role play, and she's having fun with the challenge. This is how you know you did it correctly, if she starts to banter back with you. If you go on a phone call and you set the context and you say something like the psycho line, and she's not amused or she's not finding it funny, there's probably a problem with your delivery. And so I'm going to hammer this home again. You have to be playful with how you challenge someone. You can't take yourself too seriously. You have to actually be internally having fun with it. And in a bit, I'm going to show you some psychological tricks that you can do to force yourself basically to have fun, but we'll get to that in a minute.
I only met up with one person, and I didn't have a phone call with her first, and I regret that, but she showed up completely drunk, just drunk.
Shit.
Yeah.
So here's an example of a story that I will tell almost every single time I have a phone call with a girl. Basically, it's one of those drama stories that girls love. They like to hear about bad dates as long as you're not butthurt about it. As long as you're casual about it, it's a fun story to tell. And drama dates are the best.
She showed up completely drunk, just drunk.
Shit.
Yeah. And we met at a bar, and at a restaurant.
That's the best place.
Yeah, and then she got mad at me when I said, hey, because she almost knocked over the water 4 times, and so I'm like, hey, I think we should just end this. I don't really think this is a good idea. And then she started getting really offended, and she was Russian or half Russian, so
think about this story. It's just a pretty standard story, but I'm telling it on purpose. And listen to her reactions. She is laughing. This is how you give someone an emotional high through a phone call. You tell them stories that you've practiced that just get a good reaction. And women just start to laugh. They're like, this guy is really funny. He's entertaining me. And the conversation feels like it's being led. So that's one thing I really want you to pay attention here during this phone call. I am leading the conversation because I have done this so many times. I know how to make her feel comfortable. I know how to make her feel like there's a connection between us because the conversation just has this inexplicable flow to it. This goes back to the idea of assuming familiarity. We're talking as if we're good friends, that we've known each other for a long time and we're catching up.
That explains, a little bit crazy.
Okay.
You seem chill though, I think.
Yeah.
Really subtle right there. I say, you seem chill though, I think. This is just a couple minutes into the call, and so I don't actually know if she seems chill, but she's giving me indicators that she is, and I say it because I want to establish this frame of playfully skeptical. So I'm like, you seem chill, I think. And when she hears that, she's like, I think, like, what do I have to do to make this guy think that I'm actually chill? And that's just that frame of, you're a high value man, you're selective with who you let into your life, and you want to make sure that this person has earned a spot in your life.
Yeah, I think I am. But it's hard, to say that about myself. Like, yeah, I'm so chill. Like, I'm the best person ever,
Yeah, just self-centered, typical London,
Yeah, of course. Always late.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
So I'm from LA. I wanna test something. Okay. Repeat after me. Just say, "Oh my God, I hate that."
Oh my God, I hate that.
Okay. Now say, "Oh my God, I love that."
Oh my God, I love that.
Those perfect. Okay. So if you say those two sentences, if you know those two sentences, you can survive in LA for 7 years.
Okay, that's good to know. Actually,
Yeah.
I always wanted to visit.
Yeah.
So.
And now you
good
know
thing
what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've told that story countless times. I can recite it in my sleep. What's so great about stories like that is you're giving her an inside joke between just the two of you. I can't tell you how many times I've had women repeat this joke to me. The joke of, "Oh my God, I love that," in like the typical LA accent. We're on a date and she'll take a bite of food and it's really good, and she'll, as a joke, say, "Oh my God, I love that." You're basically giving her a joke. And it's so great to watch other people use jokes that you've told during stories, because now you have this like inside joke rapport, and that is so beautiful. You're going to tell the same stories over and over and over. And what you're going to learn is, with little tweaks, your stories are going to get really good. And these stories don't need to be amazing. All they have to do is spike her emotions. Get her to feel something. For me, I like to tell stories that are showing my vulnerable side, or stories that are just silly and fun. And I'll give you examples of both. Here's an example of a story that I've told on almost every single phone call that I've ever had. And what's interesting is, if you listen to my phone calls, you'll notice that a lot of them sound the same, because this is a funnel. I'm basically doing the same thing with every single person. Obviously, I am changing things based on the girl's personality, but I know in the back of my mind that I have some killer stories that I want to tell her. Stories that'll make her laugh, that'll make her feel an emotion. But you're into like Japanese stuff, huh?
Well, like, I think it like fits my face, like the Korean, the Asian style makeup.
Okay.
Because, so like, I'm kind of interested in that because I'm learning Korean. I wanted to challenge
Really?
myself. Yeah, I was like,
Cool.
European languages are boring.
Yeah.
I want to do something like hard, so like that's how I kind of got into that. But like, I'm not that crazy about it. I'm just like, whatever.
Her picture on WhatsApp was her wearing a kimono. And so I say, so you're into Japanese stuff. Now, this question is an example of something that I'll ask that will get her to start talking and telling me details about herself. People love when you're observant and you ask questions that come from genuine curiosity. This idea of genuine curiosity is so important. You need to be genuinely curious about this person that you're speaking with. This is a human being with her own story, her own perspective. So one of the first things that I noticed was that she was a Caucasian wearing a kimono, which was interesting. And so I asked her about it. It's so great when you can ask a question that just explodes the conversation into a million different threads. Another one of my favorite questions to ask is, what is your daily average happiness from 1 to 10? This one really gets people thinking. And you'll also learn so much about her based on her answer. That's really what you're trying to do here with these questions. You want to be asking questions that make the conversation a lot deeper than just surface level. These are the types of questions that are not just small talk. If you're calling a random person on the phone and having a small talk conversation with her and asking her questions like, how are you? All she's going to give you is polite surface level answers. So my whole philosophy on having conversations with people in general is fuck small talk. Small talk is the worst. I want to get deep. I want to ask questions that make her think. I want to ask questions that make her want to ask me deep questions. And once you do this, you start to get into this beautiful rhythm where you're both kind of interrogating each other. I call it a mutual interrogation. But this idea of asking deep questions that challenge her in a way that gets her to think is so critical to what I do. This is how you separate yourself from most guys, because most guys are just having small talk. But remember, fuck small talk. Now, with some people, if you avoid small talk and quickly get to something deep, she might think it's a little fast. In those situations, what I do is I offer up my own vulnerable stories first. If I notice she's the type that's a little bit closed off and I have a deep question that I want to ask her, I will offer up the information, the answer to that deep question first. And then I'll say, what about you? This works every single time. If you notice that she's a little bit closed off, just be vulnerable first and then get her to open up.
I mean, you know, like there's girls that go to Asia specifically because they like Asian guys. Have you heard of this? Like white girls?
Yeah.
Are you one of those?
Nah, no.
I'm not judging you if you would. I'm just curious.
No. It's like, I feel that those girls are just crazy.
But
it's just like, they're like so much into that. Like, I sometimes like see them on Instagram, and they're just like crying over some like actor from Asia that like I don't get it, and they're like so like I don't know, they just act like kids. I feel like I don't know.
Why do I have a feeling that you also do that?
Here we go. Why do I have a feeling that you also do that? It's the type of thing where you wouldn't ask it unless you were trying to challenge someone. And this is a common theme that you're going to notice in all my interactions. It's this challenging frame. You're playfully skeptical, you're challenging her, and you want her to almost defend herself, but in a fun way. And that's why I ask questions like that. I'm constantly trying to challenge her because I want to go on a date with a woman that knows how to handle someone challenging her. That's not going to get offended when someone questions something about her life. This is essentially just a way of flirting.
But I would what?
I think
Sorry.
I have a feeling that you are that type of person that gets like...
Oh.
No?
Okay.
Am I
No.
wrong? Am I wrong? Shit.
Yeah.
God damn it. Listen. I can't be correct about all my guesses, okay?
Oh, of course, yeah. I will let you have this one, but
Okay.
be correct the next time, okay?
That's her. I love what she just said here. This is something that I would say. She's like, okay, but be correct the next time. So this is what starts to happen when you establish this playfully skeptical frame. With women that are like very, very fun to hang out with, they'll start to challenge you back. And then you get into this amazing flow. And this is how you have a flirtatious conversation. On the surface, if someone was listening to this and they didn't understand the dynamics between men and women, they might just think like, oh, this is just two people chatting. But we're here because we want to understand what's going on, what actually sparks attraction, and what does flirting even look like? This is what flirting looks like. Two people kind of teasing each other, and there's this underlying vibe of challenging.
Did I lose some brownie points?
Kind of, but at least you stopped talking about it, so you're not going to lose more.
Oh shit! I just knocked over.
You just knocked something. I heard that. I heard that.
I guess I'm drunk too.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But how many people have you met up with?
2.
And how was it?
Weird.
Please go on. Please tell me.
I will.
So this is another example of a question that I would love to ask. I'll ask her something like, so what has your experience been like with meeting people on online dating? And it's really great because this is another example of women being able to tell their version of the bad date story. Because it's way more interesting talking about bad dates than good dates. And so you get to have this fun conversation and listen to how fun it gets.
So, like, the first guy, I don't know why, but he just, like, we met up, he was, like, so nervous. Like, he seemed, like, fine, you know, like, I hadn't talked with him as well, so that was a mistake on my part as well.
Yeah.
It was back in Prague, and he was just, like, so nervous. He just, like, couldn't get a word out.
Oh, my God.
I was like, how are we supposed to, like, get to know each other, have a decent conversation?
Yeah.
And he was, like, so nervous. He was just, like, his hands were, like, just shaking. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm normal, you know. It's like, he was, like, so nervous.
Just a side note, because she's mentioning this and it reminded me of something. When I first started this whole journey of like trying to get better at dating, I was the guy that she's talking about. I would be so fucking nervous on dates that my hands would be shaking, my voice would be cracking, I would be sweating. And if that's you, if you're in that position where that's what's happening to you, whether it's on a first date or even a phone call, then don't worry, that goes away with repeated exposure. There's this idea in cognitive behavioral therapy of just repeatedly exposing yourself to the thing that causes that negative reaction until it no longer causes it. And so after I went on enough dates and after I did enough phone calls and interacted with enough people, that feeling completely went away. And that nervousness actually turned into excitement. And so I channeled that feeling in a different way. And I'm going to get into how to actually do that later, how to get over this feeling of nervousness when I break down a call from one of my students where he was extremely nervous. And I'm going to do that later in this video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's continue.
And then, like, after, like, 30 minutes, we went for a coffee.
Okay.
I was like, sorry, like, I don't think I can, like, do that. I still feel like you're a stranger. Like, I didn't get to know you at all. Like, you haven't talked at all. And he was like, oh, I thought we could, like, meet up again. And I was like,
is that what he sounded like?
Yeah, kind of like that, but more manly, not like that. But I was like, I don't think that's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. And, like, the second guy, we met up. He was like, we were talking. He's like, can I ask you something? I was like, sure. And he was like, I have a foot fetish.
Oh, of course.
I was like, okay. So you're one of those? And he, like, kept going. He was like, I love to be, like, I was just, like, horrified.
Yeah.
He was like, I love to be, like, dominated. I was like, sure.
Man. Okay.
And then wait, that's not everything.
Keep going.
The worst part is coming. And then he told me, like, if I would be open, because he likes, like, a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
And he would want me to sit, like, on his mouth and shit in it. And, like, make sure that he ate it all.
Okay.
I was
Hold on.
So I was like, sorry, but I would be scarred for life.
So you'd actually be really surprised at how many women have stories like this. Maybe not as crazy as like a guy wanting to shit in their mouth, but when I talk to women about their previous dates, everyone has like some horror story date that is so weird that it becomes hilarious. And this is a reason that this question is so good. Asking about her previous bad dates. And if you have your own stories to share first, to kind of like set the stage, that's even better. That's why I tell my story first and then allow her an opportunity to tell hers. And after she tells a story like this about how some dude wanted to shit in her mouth, do you think there's going to be any awkwardness in our conversation anymore? We have effectively broken the ice, quote unquote, and now we're talking like two friends catching up. There's this assumed familiarity. We both are on the same page, the same wavelength. Really pay attention to this. Like, can you feel that?
Like, I could never have a, like a normal shit.
But what are you talking about? This sounds extremely hot.
You want to try that?
Is this a good time for me to bring up, like, I want you to shit directly into my ear.
Okay.
So it's really hard to get out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like deep
and then,
in.
And then I have to make sure you get it all out.
Yeah. Otherwise, because, you're dominating me,
You'll get punished.
So I'll be punished, yeah.
And see, I say something here that is pretty vulgar. Like, it's a vulgar joke. But the reason it's okay is because we both understand each other's sense of humor. Do you think that I would start the phone call with something like this? Absolutely not. But after she's revealed a story about how some dude wanted to shit in her mouth, then I can start saying some messed up things too, because we both have this understanding. There's this mutual joke thread that's going on where it makes it okay. This is why it's so dangerous when people take specific things that others say out of context. Because if you just took this one line out and it said, hey, I want you to shit directly into my ear, and someone quoted that as something that I said, people would be outraged. They'd be like, what the fuck? You can't say things like that. However, when you put it in the context of a conversation where we're both sharing these funny stories, it's totally okay. It's totally normal, in fact, to make jokes like this, because these are the types of jokes you would make with your closest friends.
God.
And I will stop the time, so, and if it's like under 5 minutes,
Then I get
it's
punished.
okay.
And what's the punishment?
Yeah.
Do I get like more shit in my ear?
In the second one.
I think you're gonna have to eat like Mexican food and then shit in my other ear.
Yeah.
this-
So it's like more hardcore.
Yeah, more like diarrhea. You know. This is not the conversation I expected to have.
Yeah. But yeah, so like from that time I'm kind of scared, horrified of that side. I'm just like
Horrified seems like a good word. Yeah.
And I really want to like hammer this point home, because I don't want anyone to misinterpret like what I'm teaching, because it is tricky when to know when to say certain things. And so I would not be making this level of fucked up jokes if that didn't seem appropriate. A lot of times I'll have conversations, which you'll hear in the vault, where I don't make any fucked up jokes. And it's more just like a challenging, flirty conversation. And we're talking about pretty normal stuff. Because the tone of the conversation hasn't reached that point. But then there's sometimes where I have calls like this, and this is about 30 to 40% of the time, where immediately like they're so comfortable that they start to just go down the dark humor path. And if you've watched the course up to this far, you know that one of my favorite things to do is dark humor. But that's because I genuinely enjoy it. If you don't enjoy that, you should not do that type of thing. Do what you actually find interesting. Tell the kinds of stories and have the types of conversations that you actually find intriguing.
yeah. But now I am like really picky with like whom I go out with, because like that just, and we were eating as well.
Yeah. That's
So like
great.
my
Great.
appetite
Yeah.
just, like,
Of course.
went away in like a second. And then I just like excused myself. I was like, yeah, like sorry, I don't think I'm the person like for you.
Damn.
And like the conversation was like great up until that point.
Really?
Why? He was like a normal guy, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like creepy or like weird, but like when he started talking, that was like the end of me.
Wow. That's actually fascinating. Well, I'm glad I can tell that you're not crazy. Or you might be crazy, but you're not scary. There you go.
Okay.
But do you have any questions for me? I feel like I've been interrogating you.
No, it's fine because I have a hard time thinking of questions to ask.
Does it help? Does it help when someone says, "Do you have any questions for me?" like,
Not really.
like put you
Not
directly
really.
on the spot.
Not really, because I don't really have like a lot of questions like prepared, you know. But I don't know. So, where in London do you live?
Oh, great question.
Thank you.
In Clapham.
So here's another example of this skeptical, challenging frame. I say, do you have any questions for me? Because I feel like I've been interrogating you this whole time. And I say this line a lot. And I say it because usually it's hard for people to think of questions when you ask them to think of a question. And I know this. And so I like to ask it because it's put some pressure on her to think of something. And it also is something that someone that has high value would say. Think about a job interview. When you walk in and you're selling yourself to this person, at one point they might ask you, so, sir, do you have any questions for me? And it's one of those moments where you're like, oh, shit, I should ask something really good. Oh, fuck. And it's a good opportunity to put a little bit of playful pressure on the conversation.
What was that noise you just made? What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
Oh, I heard it. You have to explain it. It sounded like you were mumbling angrily under your breath.
I wasn't.
Okay. You're a fucking liar.
Junction.
You are a fucking liar.
A little bit. I'm a pathological liar, so you never know with me,
And so right here, I call her a fucking liar, but it's done playfully. It's done sarcastically, and she plays along with it. This is such a nuanced thing that I wouldn't suggest this for your initial calls. I wouldn't say things like, you're a fucking liar to a girl. But I want to show it to you as what a more advanced call looks like, so you have something to work towards in the future. But this is something that I like to do. I like to be very, very challenging with women. And I want them to know that I'm being sarcastic and I'm being playful. It's not serious.
And a bit crazy, but
So what do you hate about Clapham?
you know. No, I was just like, I heard it somewhere, but I have no idea where it is.
Okay.
So, Clapham Junction, or...
I don't know. Clapham. I don't know London. There's a lot of like hipsters around me. Does that help?
Not really. I feel like in London, everywhere are hipster, so...
Well, anyways, next question.
Okay. I actually found it on City Mapper, so you're like in the south of London.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of. Are you?
Yes, south.
You're like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just also, in general, notice my tonality. Notice how I'm speaking. I'm speaking to her in down talk. There's not much up talk. Obviously, when I'm asking a question like, where are you from? That is a little bit about talk. But my voice sounds very authoritative. There's not even a hint of insecurity while I'm speaking. And this is only something that comes from practice. I wish I had my first phone calls recorded because they dripped with insecurity. You could taste the insecurity. But after a while, after repeatedly exposing myself to a situation where I'm calling a stranger on the phone and trying to spark attraction, I lost all of that insecurity. And it went away because not only did I repeatedly put myself in a situation where I'm calling women, but I also knew what to say. I had a structure in place of storytelling, of setting the context, of being skeptical. And all those things gave me the confidence to just know how to get it done, just know what to do. And I can't tell you how good it feels to pick up the phone, talk to a girl, and you just know where to lead the conversation. That is what gives off that level of confidence.
We both don't know, so I can say whatever I want. Yeah, south of London.
Yeah, okay. At least it's a real place. Okay, so why did you move to London? Or did you move, or are you just
Look
here?
at you. That's a good question. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
That's really good.
Oh, thank you. No one ever, appreciates it.
Yeah. I like I said, I've been traveling with my friends, and we've been
So right here, more playful, challenging. I say almost sarcastically, I'm like, look at you. You thought of a good question. And this is just the vibe that I'm trying to establish. This like, I am going to call you out on your shit. I'm going to say the thing that's on my mind, and it's going to be fun. So strap in and get ready for the ride.
test driving different cities for a month or two at a time, because we're trying to find the best place in the world to live. And so
interesting.
We've been on this journey together, and I've been to like 40 different cities in the last year.
Whoa.
Year and a half, actually, not really a year. And London's cool. It's cool. I don't know if I could do it, but so far...
This is an example of me sneaking in a story that's almost like a humble brag. Like, I've been to all these cities, but the way I say it is so casual, so nonchalant. I'm not trying to get a reaction out of her like, oh my God, you're so awesome. I'm just throwing it out there like, yeah, I've been traveling a lot. I'm test driving these new cities. It's just something that she hasn't heard from like the average guy. And everyone has stories like this. Everyone has something that separates them from other people. You have to find what that is and figure out a way to package it. And the best way to package those humble brag stories is to just say them casually without expecting some sort of reaction from her.
Like, there's a lot more business opportunity here and like smart entrepreneurs than there are in like other places. So I like that.
So how would you rate it? Like, if you visited like so many places, how would you rate it?
It's one of
Like
the
London?
worst. It's one of my least favorite cities.
You'll notice this too. So I put some pressure on her initially for asking me some questions, and now she's asking me questions, and they're actually pretty damn good. She asked me how would I rate it, and that's not a surface level small talk conversation. That's something where that's the type of question that you would ask someone if you want to understand how they think. And now she's doing it, and it's such a beautiful thing to watch someone else get comfortable and ask questions that are actually good.
However, I do like that British people have a super fucked up sense of humor. I like that.
Oh yeah, I love that.
But like, can I say something kind of fucked up? Like, it's a little bit rude.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
But like, there's too many fat people here. Like, it's just.
But like, you're from LA, but LA is like.
Yeah, that's why
models
I
and
left.
but, like,
That's why I left LA too. Like, there's a lot of fat people there too.
Okay.
But London, man, it's just the calorie capital of the world.
Yeah, I know. It's like when I first came here with my best friend. We moved here like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
So we went to McDonald's and we ordered like Fanta. and I just like tasted it. I was like, this is pure sugar. Like, I can't believe this.
So this is another thing that I like to say a lot, which is if I actually do notice that the population is fairly overweight, I will call it out to women because I want them to know that I'm a type of person that appreciates when someone takes care of their physical health. It's an attractive quality to me. And so this is just one of those things that I like to mention just to kind of set the frame of like, I take care of myself physically and I want someone else that also does the same. But I'm doing it in a way that's not douchey because I'm just framing it as a casual observation. So I think a lot of men, the mistake they would make is they would just directly say this to the girl. Like, listen, I take care of myself and I want a girl that also takes care of herself. I don't want to date someone that's overweight, right? That's just like kind of a douchey thing to say, but framing it in a story and subtly alluding to it is just a more charismatic way to accomplish the same thing. This also shows her that I have standards, like I have a specific filter for what I'm looking for. And that's so important. But you don't want to point to your filters, obviously, because human beings are creatures that respond to stories. So do whatever you can to explain things that you're interested in or to tell her something, but frame it as a story. Stories are powerful, and becoming a good storyteller is one of the most valuable skills you will ever learn in your life. It's the difference between telling someone something and showing them something. If you show them something and you get them to feel an emotion and see a movie in their head, instead of just telling them the facts, they're more likely to remember it. They're more likely to connect with it.
Yeah. Like, I can only drink like Sprite Zero because it just tastes like normal Sprite in Czech Republic.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not even surprised. That like you're so fat. And also, like I work in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And do you know Sunday roast? It's like it's just like a really big meal. Like Yorkshire pudding. And
yeah. Okay, no, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and the portion is like it's massive. It's like for 3 people.
Yeah.
And I have to carry it every Sunday because everyone just goes there for the Sunday roast.
Yeah.
Like, my arms hurt so much. I once, ordered Sunday roast for me, but the kids' version. The kids' version is normal portion for adults.
Okay.
Like, I don't get it. I cannot imagine, like, being in the U.S. I feel like it's even more crazy. It's even crazier.
It is pretty bad. But I'm glad I can just say whatever any fucked up shit I want, and you just like you go with it. Cool.
Always.
This is another thing that I like to do a lot, which is rewarding her for things that I think are genuinely awesome. And so we have this conversation where I get to show my dark sense of humor, and she also gets to show hers. And so I want to call that out. It's like a compliment that's genuine, I want her to know she's awesome for having a dark sense of humor. Okay, so right here, I'm going to now start setting up the actual date. And I want you to notice how I do it. There's a lot of subtleties here. But the way you're going to do it is skeptically. This is almost like a flirtatious way of asking someone out where you're not immediately saying yes because you're a high-value man. You're a man that has endless options. Therefore, you need to be picky with who you spend your time with. And you need to be giving off that vibe. But again, not in a douchey way. It needs to be from a place of playfulness, where it's kind of a joke, but to a degree you're being serious. Like, do I want to go out with you? I'm not sure, but I'm willing to give it a shot. That's kind of the vibe. Again, you don't want to take this too far where it sounds like you don't even like her. What I'll do is I'll say something like, I actually think you might be super cool. I haven't met you in person yet, so I'm not sure, but I think you are. What are your plans this week? And then she'll tell me her plans. And then I'll start to schedule a date. But as I'm scheduling it, she feels like she just won. Like she won me over. And this is flipping the script so beautifully.
What are your plans this weekend?
This weekend, I'm actually going... What day is it today?
Saturday.
Saturday. I have no idea. Because it's like either I'm working or I'm not.
Yeah.
So I don't like differentiate between the days. But tomorrow I'm going for brunch with my friends.
Okay.
But then I should be like afternoon, evening. I should be free. I think so.
Would you like to hang out?
Yeah, why not?
Grab a drink, some dinner.
Yeah, you don't seem like a crazy person. Like, but if you have like any kinky shit, you need to tell me. Just tell me now.
The thing is, here's the thing. Like, why would I even talk about kinky shit before I meet you? And like it's so weird. Here's the thing. It's so weird for me to like when people talk about sex stuff when they haven't even met.
Yeah.
Like, what if we decide that we fucking hate each other, or we just want to be friends?
Yeah.
We just want to be friends, whatever. Like, why would it's weird.
Of course,
It's really weird.
Yeah.
So this is also something that I will establish frequently. If a woman brings up something sexual to me before I've met her, I don't want to continue that thread. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of the mystery of whether or not, we have chemistry just being ruined by kind of like revealing the fact that we're going to quote unquote hook up. I just don't like to do that because I don't know if we're going to hook up, and she doesn't either. And so meeting in person and seeing if we have chemistry is actually what I'm thinking in my head. And so right here, when she starts to bring up the fact that she wants to know if I have any kinky fetishes, I just cut the thread and I explain to her my position, which is I don't really know if we should talk about that yet because we don't know if we like each other. Like, let's just hang out and maybe we're just going to be friends. And this is all part of that playfully skeptical frame. Who knows if I like you? Who knows if we're just going to be friends? I'm not sure, but let's find out. This makes me come across as someone that's not easy. And this is what I mean when I say that when I go on a date with a woman, it feels like she won. It doesn't feel like I scored the date. It almost feels like she did. And this comes back to this idea of having high social value.
I don't get it, but like, if you're into something like crazy, just tell me now, okay?
No.
Like, I like, it's weird for me as well, so like, I don't like it, because like, some people just like text me like, I'm into this, I'm like, okay, but what's your name?
Yeah. I can't, I'm not into, it's such a weird question. I'm not into anything that's going to make you freaked out, don't worry.
Okay, great.
But
so let's meet up on Sunday.
But it's still like I get why you would ask that question. It's just like it all in my mind. I'm always thinking like, but what if we're just friends, right? Like which is fine, right? But you don't like know until we actually hang out. But
But I just want to be prepared.
Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing tonight?
Well, I wanted to go to Tate Modern, just like to hang out and not do anything in particular.
Take what?
Tate Modern.
Oh, the Tate. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
By yourself?
Yeah. I just like to hang out there.
Are you homeless?
Well, not really, but I share my bed with my best friend.
Oh, cool.
So I don't want to be just like sitting at home all day when I'm having a day off. So I just like to hang out there because even though it's full, you don't meet a lot of people there because it's so big.
Yeah.
So I just like to hang out there, like draw a bit and just like.
Oh, you draw?
Yeah.
So you're artsy.
Kind of.
Cool. We would probably get along then.
Okay. Cool.
I think I would give it I would say 75% chance we'd get along.
Okay, that's cool.
Here's another example of the playfully skeptical frame. She says that she's into art, and my response is, that's awesome. That means there's probably a 75% chance we'll get along. Not 100%. There's always this slight skepticism.
Good.
It's not bad, yeah.
Good. Yeah, not bad.
You know, it's fun.
We'll see.
I have a date tomorrow. It's actually a friend that it's like not a blind date, but she wants me to meet her friend. And,
Okay.
And I've never met her in person, but I did talk to her on the phone. And I said something so stupid. Like, it wasn't even funny. It wasn't even funny. She's American, by the way, which is an important detail. And so I made a joke. She said something, and I said something dumb, and I was like, sorry, my mom dropped me on my head when I was a kid. Just like a little comment. Like, not a big deal. And she didn't laugh at all. And then she says, after like a few seconds, she's like, I used to work with abused children, and that's not funny.
Damn, like, chill the fuck out,
I'm like,
girl.
what
like,
a fucking buzzkill. Like, what?
Yeah. And
What's
also,
wrong
like,
with you?
I hate that on the internet. You know, like, you say anything that could be taken mildly, like, offensive, and you are the worst person ever. How dare you? I've been through this and regarding your issues, your past. I'm just
This is another example of a story that I do tell pretty frequently because I do want women to know that I have a dark sense of humor and I like fucked up jokes. But I don't want to just say it. I don't want to just say, hey, I have a dark sense of humor. I want to tell her through a story. So the story that I tell her is of a friend that tried to set me up with someone. I call this person and I tell her a stupid joke and she gets offended by it, which is fine. She can get offended. But I want her to know that that's not the type of person that I generally click with.
making a dumb fucking joke. It's like
Exactly. Just making a dumb fucking joke. But the point of that story is,
okay.
I would like a reason to cancel.
Okay.
So if you're
I can
100,
help you out with that.
so if you're 100% sure that you want to hang out tomorrow, then let's get do you have any dietary restrictions?
Nope.
Cool.
I used to be vegan for 2 years.
And just notice the enthusiasm with which she says yes. And this is a super, super attractive girl. She's getting hit up all the time by men. But when you have an unforgettable phone call like this, the yes is almost just expected. Obviously, she's going to say yes. We're having a great time on the phone. The natural next step is to have a great time in person.
And then you gave that up?
Yeah, like one night I just had a craving for doner kebab, so I just went and bought it.
What a fucking 180 that
But
is.
it's a true story. Like
Damn.
I was like, fuck that.
Okay, cool. Let's do
Okay.
sushi and drinks or something.
Oh, I love sushi.
Yeah, of course, it's Asian. You love Asian things.
Oh, fuck you.
Listen to this. Listen to how she's laughing. Listen to how she says fuck you to me and laughs about it. This sounds like two friends catching up after a long time, not two complete strangers that have been talking on the phone for just a few minutes. This is the kind of reaction you can expect once you start practicing these calls.
I feel like as you eat Asian food, if you're sitting, you just slowly slide off your seat.
Why?
Because
Why
you're,
sweat?
because you're getting wet. It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was like, what the fuck?
On that note,
Okay, it's fine.
it's like should we end on that weird awkward joke or do you have a palate cleanser?
Not really.
Damn it.
Okay.
So here's an example of a joke that fell flat. I make a joke about, because she likes Asian food so much and Asian culture, the joke is when she's at a restaurant eating Asian food, she likes it so much that she starts to slide off her seat because she's getting so turned on. She doesn't get it, it's not that great, but listen to how I recover from it. So use this as an example of if you have a awkward moment that she doesn't quite get or you push the line a little bit too much, you can save it by just addressing it and not making it a big deal and just showing her that nothing really will faze you.
So tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, at the very least, I think we're going to have a lot of stupid jokes and shit.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I will
Okay.
see you. Wait, hold on. What's your name? Who are you?
My name is. And you're Jess?
Jesse.
Jess, okay.
My
Jesse.
real name is not Jesse. That's just I gave myself a white person's name. My actual name is Jesman. I don't call myself that because people confuse it and they end up saying Jizzman. And
It's kind of funny.
I don't like that. But anyway, let's see. There we go.
Okay.
Now we ended it on something
Yeah.
a little bit better.
Yeah, that's true. You saved the situation. Okay. So tomorrow. just,
7:30.
Yeah, that's good. And where do you want to meet?
So there's this
to...
lovely place. You've probably heard of it called Clapham, and there's a restaurant called Tsunami that I want to check out. It's apparently the best sushi in the area.
Okay.
So we can do that.
I hope there are a lot of Asian people. So
Yeah, so you can.
I can get
You can slide off the seat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. It was less awkward as I can tell.
No, yeah, it was good. See,
Yeah.
we fixed
Good,
it.
good. Okay. So yeah, just maybe because I heard about Clapham, but I still have no idea where it is. So just send me the address of the place, or we can meet there.
Cool.
Or
Yeah, of course.
The station. Yeah.
Sounds good. And have fun at the Tate Modern. And
okay.
I'll see you
I'm
tomorrow.
probably not going. Like, I'm too lazy now to go. I just like got ready, and now that I've been talking to him, like, should I go? Because I go there like every week, like two times every week.
Really?
So like I've seen everything, but like I just like to hang out there. But like the weather isn't the best. Like at least it's not raining. But I'm just like, should I?
That was a great story.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, there was like a
very enlightening.
Like my favorite part was when it ended, but
oh yeah, I love.
So right here is me just, you know, teasing her some more because she told kind of a boring story, and I was like, oh, you know what? That was a great story. My favorite part was when it ended. And the only reason I'm saying this to her is because we've established this rapport. We've established this, like, we're going to tease each other, call each other out, fuck with each other. That's the vibe. If that vibe wasn't there, I probably wouldn't say something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh my god.
I have to bust your balls, okay? That's just who I am.
Okay.
But I will let you go now.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you.
So how do you get ridiculously good at phone calls where every time you have a call with a girl, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself the date? And not only are you guaranteeing yourself the date, you're making it so that she's so excited to meet up with you because she knows you're awesome. Well, the way to do this, and this is how I've done it, this is how every one of my students that got really good at calls did it, is they just practiced with everyone. You just swipe right on every single girl on Tinder, and it doesn't matter if you're attracted to her, you just want to practice phone calls. Now, you might be thinking, aren't you misleading women by hopping on a phone call with them and, you know, sparking attraction? No, that's not how I like to think about it. You don't have to set up dates with women that you're practicing these phone calls with. You can just practice your storytelling. So what I do is I will be very upfront and honest from the very beginning. I'll say, hey, you know, I'm not really looking to date around, but you seemed cool and I just wanted to talk to you. And so from there, you can just have a normal conversation and start practicing your stories and give her an emotional high. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're calling someone, even though you're not attracted to her, you're calling her and you're giving her an emotional high. You're making her day a little bit better because you're telling her funny stories and you're keeping it light. And this is really the only way you're going to get good. You have to just practice on everyone. And after you do, you're basically equipped with this superpower that sparks attraction so massively that it's going to be your competitive edge. Most men are not calling women before dates. They're not establishing this playfully skeptical frame. And that's why a lot of people have these awkward first dates. When I show up on a date with a girl and we've had a phone call that's like the one you just heard, it's like we've known each other for so long. We're excited to hang out. We're both smiling. We're both laughing right away. And if you saw that from an outside perspective, you would never guess that it was a first date. And it's only because of these powerful phone calls. This is the most important step in the entire funnel. You could do everything correct on the other steps, but if you don't have an unforgettable phone call, you're not setting yourself up for success. You're not going to have that edge. This is the ultimate way to separate yourself from every other guy she's talking to. It doesn't matter how good looking you are. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you can have a phone call like what I just showed you, you will be the top 1% of desirable men online. So how long should your calls be? My average call lasts anywhere from 10 to 45 minutes. The length of the call is not what's super important, but what you really want to avoid is prematurely ending it before any sort of attraction has been sparked. So you don't want to have a 2-minute phone call because that's not enough time for her to know whether or not she likes you. Somewhere around 10 minutes for the minimum is pretty good. With that said, I usually like to talk for more than that, but what's important to do is to end on a high. You don't want to let the conversation fizzle out. So after you tell a good story or when you notice it might be starting to get a little bit boring, just end the call. And the way I like to end the call is very simple. The way that I end the call is by referencing the initial context of why I'm talking to her in the first place. And remember, the context is you're trying to see if she's cool. And so what I say is, hey, I just want to give you a call to make sure you're not a psycho. And the way I end the call is I'll say, awesome, now I know you're not a psycho. You passed the test. And it's just kind of like a cute, funny way to end the call while also referencing the context. It's super, super simple and very effective. And it reminds her of the context. It reminds her that you are a high-value man that's not just going to go out with anyone. You want to make sure you're not going to waste your time. So there you have it. This was a monster video, and there's actually a lot more to cover, but I'm going to save that stuff for the vault. Having unforgettable phone calls is so powerful, and I hope you understand why at this point. This is my secret sauce. This is how I'm able to get literal models to fly across the country and come visit me on their own dime. This is how I'm able to get back-to-back-to-back dates with the top 1% of high-quality, attractive women. It's because of these phone calls. Yes, the beginning of the funnel also matters. I wouldn't even be able to get on a phone call if the top of the funnel was not optimized. However, I wouldn't be able to consistently date the types of women that I'm dating if I didn't know how to have unforgettable phone calls. So practice, 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 and let me know if you have any questions about phone calls. I don't want to leave a single stone unturned when it comes to this because it's such a critical step in the funnel. And we are going to be evolving and changing this course over time. So your feedback is so important to us. Even if you watched it and you have no questions and you just liked it, let us know. If you watched it and you thought it was lacking, let us know. We're going to be changing the content and updating it based on your feedback. We're also going to be adding some stuff in the Instagram section on how to cold DM women, which is essentially quote unquote sliding into their DMs in a way that actually gets you dates. I'm so excited for that. Anyway, coming out soon is the Vault, and also some more stuff on Instagram. There's so much more good stuff to share with you guys. This entire course is something you're going to reference over and over and over throughout your journey. Think of it as your online dating Bible. And when you join, you have lifetime access. And as you go through your journey and as you get better and better, you're going to view this content with fresh eyes every step of the way. Because some of the stuff that I'm saying won't make sense to you unless you start having phone calls, unless you start sending voice notes. And then you'll notice the things that you're doing incorrectly or correctly. And then you're going to rewatch some of the content and be like, oh, I didn't notice that the first time. Anyway, that's it for now, and I will see you in the next video.